So we have been, as you all know, been on a journey with the repeal of the Windfall Elimination Provision and the government pension offset. TRTA has been working with its resources and friends from around the country, including our friends in Massachusetts, as well as other states. And we have seen over the last several weeks since the signing of H.R. 82, we have seen a number of our congressional members from around the country, even people that may not have supported the repeal of WEP and GPO. These individuals have communicated that now that WEP and GPO has passed, it's a law of the land, that retirees should not be waiting for weeks, months, or a year or longer to receive their Social Security benefits. As you all know, the day after the signing, I met with Lance Gooden, congressman from Texas, in his office and on Capitol Hill. We talked about the implementation period. He was very eager to push this, but I think that we as an organization can help, and we have some work to do. So today, as we led up to this, we let our members know that we were going to do a big announcement. And our big announcement is that we are launching a push to ask every member of the Texas Congressional Delegation to sign or to send a letter to the chairman of House Ways and Means, calling on the chair of Ways and Means to require the Social Security Administration and the administrators of SSA to appear before a congressional hearing in front of the Ways and Means Committee and explain to us, all of us, why this is taking so long to implement H.R. 82 and what steps can be taken to expedite this process. There is absolutely no reason that any of us can come up with that retirees should be told they are going to be waiting for 12 to 18 months for these new Social Security benefits to be restored. In an effort to get as much current information as possible, I did reach out to the Social Security Administration's press office and asked for a statement from the press office about what is happening with the implementation of H.R. 82 after it has become law. So, Roy, let's share that press announcement that we received, and we can share it with our members. We will put this on our website as well. The statement is from the Social Security Administration, a gentleman by the name of Mark Hinkle. Since the Social Security Fairness Act was signed into law on January 5th, we have been working to process new initial claims for people who receive a pension based on work that was not covered by Social Security. To date, we have processed approximately 30,000 of these new initial claims, and depending on their age and other factors of entitlement, some of these new beneficiaries are receiving retroactive payments. We continue to work on the process of adjusting benefits for the more than 3 million current beneficiaries whose benefits have been reduced by the Windfall Elimination Provision and the government pension offset. For people who file a new initial claim, they can check the status of their claim through their personal My Social Security account. They will receive a notice in the mail once their claim is processed. Benefit payments will be made through direct deposit for people who with the current bank account information on their records. For current beneficiaries whose benefits are reduced by WEP or GPO, which is most of the TRTA membership, we recommend that they review their mailing address and or direct deposit information that we have on file for them. Generally, no other actions are needed. The easiest way for most beneficiaries to update their address or direct deposit information with us is online with their My Social Security account. There is no need to call or visit a Social Security office at this time. We will continue to provide updates on our Social Security Fairness Act webpage and strongly encourage people to subscribe to review alerts to receive alerts when the website is updated. All right, so Roy, we may come back to that in just a second, but let me sort of talk about this for a second. So a couple questions that are coming in already. So who is Mark Hinkle? Well, Mark Hinkle is a public relations officer with the Social Security Administration in Washington, D.C. again, kind of setting this up, I reached out to the Social Security Administration and asked for an update that we could share with our members and publish either in our magazine or on our website for people to have up-to-date information. Now, it is really easy, first of all, to look at this statement and say that there's a lot of information, there's a lot of words, but not a lot of what's being said. So I do, excuse me, y'all know I'm still getting over the flu. As I have mentioned before, this process is going to be difficult. What many of you may have heard is that the acting Social Security Administrator resigned earlier this week and sort of has left, I think, that agency in a bit of trying to figure out what's going on. I would use the word turmoil, but I'm not there. I don't know for sure. But it does seem like with the leadership exiting and new leadership coming in, there's probably some staff transition concerns that are going on in that office. Personally, I am very grateful that we got a reply from the Social Security Administration directly. That I think was a very right thing for them to do. They didn't have to do it, but they did send me something, which I appreciate. So in the first part of that statement, what it's talking about are the people who are making claims for Social Security benefits for the first time. And they're talking about 30,000 people that have been processed since January 6th. The bill was signed on January 5th. And if your birthday made you eligible for Social Security benefits for the first time on January 6th, you were able to then make a claim for those benefits with no WEP or GPO. And so since January 6th until February 21st, the Social Security Administration is saying they have processed 30,000 Social Security benefits without WEP or GPO hitting those benefits for those new retirees and those new beneficiaries. And the other part of that statement is talking about the 3 million people that are still waiting to receive their benefits. These are the folks that many of you are watching today wondering, when will I get my new benefit? Because I have my own Social Security that's been hit by the windfall and I want my new benefit and my back pay, as well as people saying, I am trying to get my spousal benefit and I want my spousal benefit and my back pay. We all know that retroactive, retroactive date goes back to January 1st, 2024, and it will be a retroactive until a date certain when the Social Security Administration says we have found a way to recalculate those benefits. Now, our colleagues and friends from around the country have continued to work with the Social Security Administration and people that we have connections to that are in that agency. We have strong reason to believe that there is a lot of work going on behind the scenes with them trying to make the biggest update yet on what their plans or processes may be. And so, again, earlier this week, we saw the acting administrator leave. We had, some offices that were being talked about being closed. We have people in the agency that may have retired and some that are just starting. All of these are not our problems. Our problem is that we're being told that we could be waiting for a while. But we as an organization have a powerful voice, and that powerful voice are all of you that are watching today. And so if you're a member of the Texas Retired Teachers Association, we are going to send out our inside line. And so some of you are brand new to TRTA and may not know what that is. Our inside line is our e-newsletter. And in that e-newsletter will be a link that you will be able to click to send an email to your congressional member's office. And in that email will be instructions that we are asking them to follow that will provide a sample letter that they can send to the chairman of Ways and Means Committee asking for this congressional hearing with SSA coming and explaining what is taking so long and when can retirees expect their money. And so we want to raise the level of pressure, the level of awareness on this issue. All of us know that we have heard what Social Security Administration say. We're told that we're going to have to wait. We believe that's unacceptable. And the reason that this is happening now is because I will be in Washington, D.C. in the first week of March. And I am going to visit every Texas congressional office. And my ask for all of you is that over the next week, that you will follow up with the email that we send out later today. And again, if you're signed up on our TRTA Inside line, you will get a copy of that email. You'll be able to follow the easy instructions that we have. It's a pretty simple form letter that we're asking our members to send. And our congressional members can send their own letter. I want to be able to, over the next week, generate enough communication that when I walk in to those congressional offices and I tell them I'm with the Texas Retired Teachers Association, they look right back at me and say, we have already sent a letter, and they hand me a copy of what they sent. So when we were asking the Senate and our Texas senators to vote on this, we sent thousands, tens of thousands of emails to our two senators in Texas asking for their support. And ultimately, we had two senators that were a no, but then at the end of the day, your advocacy helped convince at least one of our senators to say yes. So we live by a very firm belief in this organization, that is never underestimate the power of our members. So this is what I'm asking for all of you to help us do. We have work to do. We need to raise this awareness. This campaign is something that everyone can participate in. I'm happy now. If you're one of my colleagues. Oh,
yeah, I wanted to just jump in, Tim, and I don't mean to break your steam, but I wanted to mention to our viewers that if you're on YouTube, I'm going to post the link to the action alert in the description of this video, and that if you're on Facebook, I'm going to pin it as a comment, so it will be the top comment under the video.
Yeah, thanks, Roy. And knowing that that will be on our social media channel as well as in addition to our Inside Line e-newsletter, my hope is that you will ask your active teacher friends and school colleagues and fellow retirees to participate in this. Please do all that you can to bring more attention and awareness to this. Now, I know we are living in this world of expectation to see the WEP and the GPO get fixed. But when we're talking about things happening on Capitol Hill, all you have to do is turn on your news channel of choice, and you can see all of the other things that are gaining some kind of attention in the news cycle, and that news cycle influences a lot of the congressional activities at any given moment. So we have to kind of cut through that noise. And the best way for us to cut through that noise is to launch one of these advocacy campaigns that allows you as a constituent to send a direct email to your congressperson. Now, if you don't know who that is, the beauty of our system is that you put in your address and our system will figure out who your congressional member is. All you have to do is fill out your name and address and then follow through the steps. And if we can generate, tens of thousands of these emails over the next week, it will go a long way to bring more attention to this. I will, again, be meeting with all of the Texas congressional members. We have plenty of people in the Texas Congressional Delegation that supported this. This is a bipartisan issue. It passed with overwhelming support. But even the people that didn't vote for it recognize that it is the law of the land. And your congressperson should be working for you. And as entitled to receive a Social Security benefit that has been wrongfully reduced for decades, and Congress has fixed that, being told by the Social Security Administration that that process may take 12 to 18 months before currently WEP or people who have been affected by the GPO are going to get those dollars. It's just unacceptable. Uh, we know in Texas that there are over 400, probably more than that now, over 400 people in Texas teacher retirement system that are age 100 or older. I don't think any of those folks want to wait a year to get their Social Security benefits, and they shouldn't have to. Nor should anybody else who's 68 and should be getting their full Social Security benefit. So this is what we need. This is what we're asking y'all to do. The message on the WEP and the GPO is pretty direct, and I wanted people to also understand when they're seeing things and being commented on social media. And I've had this two points I want to make on this. The first one is that if you're seeing someone on social media say, I'm now getting my full Social Security benefits, they may be one of those people that's falling in that 30,000 folks group where the Social Security Administration is telling us through their press statement that people who are becoming eligible to receive those benefits are now getting those without a WEP or GPO affecting them. So, on January 5th, we signed the bill, or the president signed the bill. On January 6th, WEP and GPO didn't exist anymore. So there was no way for those benefits to be reduced. They were only going to be paid in full. It's the other side of that equation, the folks that have already been hit, that we're trying to fix. But one other point that I want to make, because I got an email from a member on this earlier this week after last week's show. This is a member who had communicated back saying that they were encouraged when they were told to go ahead and contact the Social Security Administration to see if they have ever filed for the benefit. This is a TRTA member who was told by a Social Security local office when she had her spouse pass away and she was going to go and collect her spousal benefit. The Social Security Administrator at that local office said, don't even apply. Just don't apply for it because you're not going to get it. And she had gone years being told that she was never going to qualify for this benefit because of the government pension offset. Well, she went to the local office, and the local office told her, no, you're not going to get a benefit. You're a Texas education retiree, and you're not going to get it. This is after we've already repealed the WEP and the GPO, and those are gone. The local office has not been keeping up with that information, or they haven't been given that information, or they don't know what to do with it. And so the retiree watched our program after that visit and decided that she wanted to contact the Social Security Administration, just like the communicate we've been giving about checking their website and making those phone calls. It's not doing a lot of good talking to the local office. And so she actually did contact the Washington office. They found out that she had not applied for the spousal benefit. They processed that application for her, and she is now going to be eligible to receive the back pay in addition to the new benefit being calculated. So I really think that it is important for you all to continue communicating with us about what's happening. We read those things. We try to communicate that information back. And so follow through. And I have told people over and over again that even though the Social Security Administration is saying that those 3 million people that they're trying to figure out how to process, they're essentially saying, hey, look, if you've got it and you're already getting some sort of benefit, but it's reduced, you don't have to do anything. Or you got a spousal benefit and we've already reduced it and you're not getting anything. We have your information. Some people still feel better about calling the Social Security Administration and making sure their address is right, their direct deposit is right. And I know the Social Security Administration is sort of directing all of you to go online and see those things. And that's fine. If you're really proficient at doing online, stuff, that's great. You can check it there. But I will not discourage anyone from contacting Social Security. I will discourage you from probably going to your local office because I don't believe the local offices are given any instructions at this time on how to handle these situations. I'd rather you just not waste your time there. It's clear the Social Security Administration from Washington, D.C. is telling retirees that if they want to check something, the process for them is to contact or to call SSA. You may be on hold for 3 or 4 hours. And that's the only downside. I won't tell you to do it. And I'm not telling you have to do it. Again, if you already know all that stuff is good and you're just waiting, all you have to do is wait. But some people, just because they want to double or triple check, they're going to make that call, but you could be on hold for a long time. So that's sort of the update on that. We are grateful for all the help that you're going to be able to provide to us. My hope is that when we get to Washington in about a week's time, we'll be able to learn a lot more. Again, I want to thank my friends Sean Duhamel and Tom Lucier, who both are in Massachusetts. They will be at the same meetings that I'm going to be at that week. We're going to go and visit congressional members. They're working closely with contacts that they have. Probably the 3 people that are most likely to be connected to something happening with Social Security Administration are Texas and Massachusetts. And it's just great that we're so friendly, connected to each other. I mean, we're generally work well together, but we're also friends, mostly because there are people in real leadership positions from Texas and Massachusetts that can do something about this. And we're asking that they do. Now, our friends in Missouri, I believe the chairman of Ways and Means Committee is from Missouri. And so all of our Texas congressional members in one voice, Republican and Democrat, should be sending a letter to the chairman of Ways and Means saying, get Social Security administrators into this room. Now, I didn't plan on this, but y'all know that that's a still image that's behind me. I took this picture when I testified in front of Ways and Means Committee. That is the Ways and Means Committee office. And those chairs that are sort of right there in the bottom part of my screen, those are the chairs that we need to see the Social Security administrators sitting in saying, what are they going to be doing to get the benefits to retirees as quickly as possible? So I think that we're going to start hearing some more news on this, especially if we can turn up the pressure from Texas. And again, my colleagues in other states, if you're in Missouri or California, or if you're a part of another social network group or something, that we at TRTA can help draft up a similar letter for you, for your congressional members, I'm happy to do that. So please feel free to contact me. If you're out of Texas and you're part of another association or another group, a traditional association or some other social media group, we're happy to help in any way. We want to get this whole country, all of our congressional members, putting their full attention on this issue. We should not be waiting. Nobody should have to wait for this. So that's what we're working on right now. I'm so grateful again to all of you. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be sending out a summary of this later. If you've not signed up for our TRTA Inside Line, go to www.trta.org. And on there is a link for you to sign up for our e-newsletter called the Inside Line. Our system only works for Texas residents, but we'll be happy to try to work with you if you're in another state. We have connections in all of the other states and happy to work with all of them that we can. So, Roy, I know we've seen tons of comments coming in.
Yep.
Can you give us any that we might want to address real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is from Mary Jo Burton, who Brock texted me, we needed to post her comment. So she said, walked in this week at Georgetown Social Security office, was there for 1.5 hours, but was successfully scheduled for a phone interview to complete my application for spousal benefits. A copy of my marriage license was taken, but was told they would need TRS statement. Also was told I will receive lump sum payment for past year and months this year.
All right, so at least some people may be getting that information. My guess is that if they wanted some sort of record or something from TRS, that is something that the teacher retirement system can provide, pretty quickly. But I do think that's a good comment. 1.5 hours, not the best in the world, but I think that I'm glad Ms. Burton had that opportunity. So What other comments have we got,
Well,
Roy?
you were at the DMV this today,
That's
so
right.
you know you got that same experience, I'm sure.
Exactly.
So this comment from Margaret: Can't SSA simply remove the deduction percentages from their calculation formulas? I'm already receiving Social Security payments, but at a 50% reduction.
Yeah, that's the crux of the confusion that all of us and the frustration that all of us have on this is why can't they just undo what they did? They've already calculated the reduction. Why can't they just recalculate it? And and again, I think SSA needs to answer that question. It's really difficult for me to try to answer that for them, based on what I've heard. Their systems are those ancient computer systems that we're hearing about kind of in the news right now. I heard about something where there was some mine or something where they were trying to keep retirement records, and it was just like very ancient ways of how the feds are handling these things, Roy. But it sounds like there's a lot of outdated, antiquated systems that can do one thing, but then to ask them to do something else, they have to go in and reprogram with programming language that nobody uses anymore. So that's sort of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm imagining a lot of stone templates and floppy
Yeah.
disks.
Yeah. And from what I hear, that's probably not too far from the truth. We'll come to Pan in a second. But when Social Security administrators put out a statement saying that they had to go back and potentially recalculate 3 million records by hand, that just doesn't compute, which is why I think they should be called in front of a congressional hearing and be explaining this to congressional members. And if they need something, they should be asking for it. So, all right, let's hear what Pam says.
Yeah, Pam asks, is it expected and authorized that during a phone call application with SSA, they will expect me to share my personal information, such as my birth certificate, marriage license, and bank account info?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you are contacting the Social Security Administration through that phone number that is specifically on their page, it's possible that that person on the other end may be asking for some kind of personally identifying information. We sometimes call that PII, personally identifying information. So um, it is very important for everybody to also know that if you receive a phone call from someone, I absolutely would not be giving out that information. We have already heard about some groups, some people that are saying they are specialists that want to help, and they are calling retirees trying to get information of the most sensitive kind, like your social security number. Those people can do nothing for you except scam you. So I am absolutely, I feel great about you, contacting the Social Security Administration with their 1-800 number. And Roy, we'll make sure that we repost that. And maybe if Cindy or other staff members are watching, we can post that in the chat because there's a specific phone number. So if you're contacting them, I think that you can provide some information. But if somebody's contacting you, I certainly would not.
All right. And then I've got this question from Betty. Are other state RTAs going to send a letter to their congressman too? If so, we could really make a powerful statement.
Yeah, I think that's our goal. Not only to send a unified message around this from our members to our Texas Congressional Delegation, but my hope is that we can partner with our colleagues and friends from Missouri, California, Louisiana, Illinois, Ohio, a lot of these other states where we know there's a strong retired teacher association there, like TRTA, and that they can also communicate out to their members. Have your congressional stakeholder, members from your state send that same kind of message. So we're going to launch it this week, and I'll send something to all of my colleagues and ask if they sort of do something similar. And again, the good news is that a number of congressional members have already shared those letters. Some of our, excuse me, y'all, some of our friends that we knew from that webpage, I think it was called Repeal or Social Security Affairs. What was the name of that group, Roy, that we worked with? The big Facebook group. They changed their names to Guardians of Social Security, and now it was Repeal. So I can't remember. I'm sorry, y'all. It's just I get confused sometimes on names. But we have friends with the Guardians of Social Security. I met with them about a week ago. They're great people, and they are posting on their social media page a number of the congressional members that are already sending these. And we've had senators too. The doctor from Louisiana, a state senator there, who's been Bill Cassidy, really a champion on this for a long time. He sent a letter with a number of senators as co-signers of that letter, R's and D's. So this is powerful, but if we can get it all over the country, that'd be great. I mean, Texas is one of the largest Texas congressional, we're one of the biggest congressional delegations. So that's why we're trying to get it organized here. All right, Roy, we got anything else right now?
Yeah, I've got one more, and I just had it. Let me scroll down. It's from Chris Artis, and it says, Tim,
right.
I had someone ask me, can a person get their own and their husband's Social Security with this repeal? I don't think so, but I don't know 100%.
Okay, so this is definitely more in the realm of how people receive Social Security benefits, and I may not be the best expert on that. What I know is that if you are a retiree under TRS and you had employment work history outside of Social Security, or I'm sorry, outside of TRS where you paid in Social Security, as we all know, the WEP reduced those benefits by considerable amount. So because WEP has been repealed, and I know Chris knows this, your benefit is going to be recalculated to what it would have been if there was no WEP at all. Just kind of going back to the question before, saying my benefit was reduced by 50%. Well, that's going to go back up to exactly what it should have been with no WEP. And so if that same person is collecting their TRS and they're collecting their own Social Security and they have a spouse who's collecting Social Security, I believe that there are some occasions where people try to claim a different or better benefit based on spousal work history while the spouse is still with us. That I'm not as familiar with. And I think that's what Chris is sort of asking about here. But in the event that your spouse who paid in Social Security passes away and you, the TRS retiree, have your TRS benefit, great. You've got your own Social Security benefit, great. And then you try to collect your spousal benefit when your spouse passes away, you will get the greater of the two. So if that benefit that you have under Social Security is $400 a month, but your spousal benefit is going to be $1,500 a month, under the new world of no WEP or GPO, you'll collect the greater of the two. So you won't keep your 400 and get the 1,500 to make it 1,900. You're going to start getting 1,500. So that's sort of how the Social Security system works. And for people who have very specific questions about that, they can contact us, and we may have to put them in contact with somebody who's more of an expert on benefits.
I always try and get one that will stump you, so I'll keep.
Oh yeah. Well, Chris is pretty good. She's a solid member, very smart, and she can usually send the questions that may stump us. But all right, so I know a lot of you tune in. I'm sorry, Roy, go ahead. Oh, yeah, he's tuned in. All right, so I know a lot of you have tuned in specifically for the information on the WEP and the GPO. Just to fine point on that, we're going to push real hard to get all of the Texas Congressional Delegation on board with calling for a hearing by the House Ways and Means Committee to find out why it is taking so long and when and what the Congress may need to do in order to get the Social Security to get that done faster. Personally, I believe the answer is you have to take the existing employees at the Social Security Administration and you have to give them overtime in order for them to work longer hours during the day. And I think it's just going to take a whole lot of more human hours to process this. And if that's going to take money, then Congress may have to, deal with that. And so, but we need to hear directly from the Social Security Administration, how quickly will this plan come together and what can we expect better than telling people 12 to 18 months. So I'm going to pivot now to our state legislative agenda. So if you're tuned in only for Social Security, please put your comments in chat. We'll look at them. But if you're also a member of TRTA and you know that you're here to hear also about what's happening in the Texas legislature, we've got a few updates on that as well. So as all of you know, this earlier part of this week, the House Appropriations Committee met. Brian Guthrie from TRS provided public testimony. TRTA was, there was no other testimony. It was invited. We call that invited testimony. And then sometimes they open those meetings up for public testimony where I will testify or Brock Gregg from TRTA may testify. But this go around, it was only invited testimony. TRS talked mainly about the current status of the retirement system and that it's doing very well. The investments have been good. We're actuarially sound. There were a number of elected officials that questioned Director Guthrie on everything ranging from what would an additional check cost for all retirees. Sometimes we call that a 13th check. Sometimes we've called it a supplemental payment. The reason that we call them different things is that when Texas has passed an extra check for retirees in the past, they've done that and they put caps on them. And those caps may be less than a full 1 month retirement check for a TRS retiree. And so people would say, hey, don't call it a 13th check because there's a $2,000 cap on it and I get a $2,200 a month TRS benefit and I didn't get the full amount. So it's not really a 13th check. I understand that. So we sometimes refer to it as a supplemental payment. The current TRS payroll every year is about $15 billion. So if you think about all the TRS retirees today, it's over 500,000, I believe. And when you add up all of those monthly benefits, what does that amount equal? Well, it's over $1 billion a month. It's almost $1,250 million in monthly benefits that are being paid to TRS retirees all over Texas. So that question was asked about what would it cost if we were to give retirees another extra check to help with inflation pressure. Our testimony in the Senate is that on average, TRS retirees are still 30% behind inflation. And so, we made a lot of progress last session and we're going to celebrate that on March 26th. But at the same time, your elected officials are recognizing that one great session that we had it just couldn't make up for 20 years of inflation, especially the last 10 years of inflation has been so bad. So legislators asking about that, and that's especially important because the legislators who are asking that are the ones in control of the purse strings. So they're on the Appropriations Committee asking that question. Of course, we had some other legislators asking about what the impact of an ESA or education savings account may be on teacher retirement system. And Director Guthrie provided some information on that, essentially stating that based on what they've seen come from the Senate, they've run models on that and they don't see an impact right now. Their actuary is saying, we don't see that would have an impact right now. I think the House is going to roll out their own version of what education bills may look like for this session. Those will have to be analyzed as well to see what may occur and whether or not they would have an impact on the retirement system. So a lot of our TRTA members are asking about that. A lot of our elected officials are asking TRTA about, where do we stand on this, important policy discussion. I've made it as clear as I can, I think, during this presentation in this format, that we're going to have to rely on the teacher retirement system providing information from their actuary. And I think that legislators need to make sure they're asking the right questions about short and long-term, potential consequences of that. And we'll see, we monitor that every day. We talk to our leadership friends, we talk to rank and file members in the legislature. And so we every day are paying attention to that issue. The other thing that I've said in this forum, and I want to, excuse me, I want to repeat, is that if you personally have a view on something, whether that's funding our schools, ESAs, higher ed funding, whatever that is, TRTA never discourages you personally from talking to your elected official. They wanted that job. They asked for it. They wanted it so bad, they asked you to vote to give it to them. So now that they have it, if you've got something that's on your mind, I absolutely encourage you to be a part of that process. TRTA is going to engage with our members and legislators specifically on what may happen with any legislation that affects TRS one way or the other. So that's what we'll be communicating to all of you. So those questions were asked during the Appropriations Committee. We are aware of another meeting on February 10th. The subcommittee is going to get together and talk about the funding for what we call Article 3, or the education side of the budget. And so that'll happen on Monday. I will testify when I have an opportunity for public comment on that. So I look forward to having that conversation. A lot of new faces will be in that discussion. And so we'll be eager to have that discussion with our House friends next week on Monday. All right. So we also had quite a few of our TRTA members that were doing grassroots direct advocacy with a number of elected officials. Roy, do we have a slide on that? All right. So we had leaders from District 1. Dora was here and met with Martinez, Terry Canales, Richard Raymond, Oscar Longoria, Adam Hinojosa, Janie Lopez, Sergio Munoz, Robert Guerrera, Z, as we know in Senate, or Judith Zaffarini, Aaron Gomez, and Juan Chuy Hinojosa. And so there's a lot of friends of ours there. From District 2, we also had Belinda here to meet with Representative Denise Villalobos and Todd Hunter. Todd Hunter is chairman of the the Calendars Committee. Is really a longtime friend of ours, and anxious to hear those comments. We had Becky Williams here from District 3 for Representative Lauterbach, Lozano. We had Senators Huffman and Lois Colcourse, a lot of friends there. And Jane was back from District 4 for Molly Cook, Senator Mays Middleton, Senators Brander Creighton, and Representative Lacey Hull. So thank you very much for that. Barbara Williams and Mary Snell were here. I wish that I could have gone to a few of these meetings because we have some new ones here, and we have some longtime friends. But Brent Money, who I met back during the primary process, and who has family members who are retired educators. And I wish I could have been at that one, but that was a good meeting. We had Senator Brian Hughes, who's a longtime friend of ours, Cole Hefner, Gary Van Dever, of course, who's a TRS retiree, Representative Jay Dean, who has been, again, a longtime friend of TRTA, and Shelley Luther, who's relatively new. So we're excited to talk to her. All right. There's just too big a list here, but Thomas Poore from District 10 came in and put on a show for everybody. So he met with a lot of these. I was at the meeting with Jeff Leach. He is a very good friend of mine. Have known him for years. I thought one of the best comments that I heard all week long was when Jeff Leach said, "Just count me as a yes man for anything TRTA wants." That was very nice of him to say. He said he would file any bill of anything that we asked him to do. So that was a good conversation. I think I saw Bob Hall. Yeah, Bob Hall was on this list. And earlier on in the legislative session, I think right at the beginning, Senator Hall put out a statement about how proud he was of the Congress for finally repealing the WEP and the GPO. I just thought that was a nice touch for our state leaders to be paying attention to what was happening on the congressional side. But a lot of friends are listed here. Y'all can read that list. Tom Poore did a great job meeting with so many folks. We appreciate that. I see Royce West on there as well. We had a personal conversation with Royce West yesterday for a special story we're doing in celebration of Black History Month. He's a very engaging, longtime member of the Senate, I think over 30 years. And so I look forward to sharing that with you all a little bit later. John Bryant was on that list. My understanding is that Representative Bryant, some of you will know, served in Congress, served in the Texas legislature, went to Congress, came back to serve in the legislature. He is a real champion for educators, and I think he's got a bunch of ideas on bills that he's wanting to file for retirees. Rafael Anchia is on there. It's a great person, longtime friend of ours. Again, we have a lot of friends in the legislature that want to try to help us. All right, Roy, let's hit the next one. Alicia Smith, you can see the folks here. I think me reading these, y'all can read. I'm not going to do that. That was probably, overkill on my part, but we see a bunch of friends here, and just wanted to let you know that your TRTA volunteer leaders are coming here and spending a lot of time in the Capitol meeting with these folks. All right, Roy, anybody else? All right, Molly and Joe Long. Joe was there, but Molly was here from District 13 along with Joe. Met with a lot of our friends, and we've got a bunch of follow-up meetings here. Again, if you see my state representative is on here, Carrie Isaac. I saw her husband, Jason, who was in the Texas legislature, and caught up with him a little bit this week. Lots of friends here, Terry Wilson, others, lots of supporters. All right, Roy, who else we got? Sharon Daugherty was here. Stan Lambert. This district, I don't think they made it this week because of the icy weather conditions. So we're going to follow up with these folks a little bit later. I did go see Representative Lambert, who is now chairman of the Pensions Committee. I cannot think of a better member to lead the Pensions Committee as chairman. His wife is a retired teacher. He has always been there for us whenever we needed him. He's been the vice chair of this committee in the past. Really, really a great get for us is on that committee. So thank you, Speaker Burrows, for doing that. Thank you, Stan, for being a part of that. And you see other folks that may be visited later on. And then Richard Herbst, he's from the San Antonio area. Man, he worked real hard this week trying to get to a bunch of these meetings. And as you can see, he also had quite a few visits, and we're very, very grateful to Richard for making those meetings. All right, Roy, any others? Perfect. All right, the last thing I'm going to add today before we end is the slide about our day at the Capitol. And I know a lot of folks were kind of tuned in for the WEP and the GPO stuff, but for those of you that are still here, please, 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 this is an all-member event. That you do not have to be a TRTA leader. You don't have to be, heck, you don't even have to be in TRTA. If you want to come and check this out and know and learn what all this Texas retired teachers stuff is all about, please come to our day at the Capitol, March 26th, 2025. We are making big plans for this event. We need a huge crowd. So please ask all of your friends, colleagues, neighbors, everybody to show up that want to be there. Make this a big part of this year for us. March 26th, it's right around the corner, and I'll be sending out more information about this later in the next couple of weeks. So, Roy, I think that's going to cover it today. What do you say?
Yeah, sounds good. A lot of great information, a lot of great comments. Thanks for everybody for joining, and we'll be back next Friday.
Yeah, send us all your comments. We'll continue to share them as we get them. Y'all have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.